Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to the second installment of the series. Hopefully, we'll continue the serialization of this, of breakdowns. It is the rig breakdowns. We try to bust through it relatively quickly. We give you too much background information. I will include entirely too much detail. But if you're here, I figure you know why. So, our second offering on breakdowns is none other than Argentum. Argentum, Latin, for the word silver, and he was named because he is silver. He is an entity that is, I mean, if you want to talk about largely unchanged in terms of overall changes made throughout his lifespan, this is one of those guys. He did not operate iteratively. He began as a Phoenix kit, which I pre-ordered, not being an early adopter, but I had a Vanquish VS410 Ultra on my saved for later on A-Main for probably a year and a half. Could never get myself to do it. Could never get myself to drop $800 in one shot. Then they announced the release of the Phoenix at like, what were they, $399, like $400, and I pre-ordered it instantly. Got it very early on, and he has, of course, still to this day, some of the early adoption problems. Sometimes his gearbox clicks, despite it being a full-blown Thesian gearbox that has had every single part replaced, save for the little linkages for OD and dig, and I want to say the back plastic part. Everything replaced chasing that click. Every fastener, every gear, everything. Still, the click now is not constant. Oh, it's there today. Nice rhythmic click. Is it coming from the front end of the gearbox? Is it coming from the back end of the gearbox? The VFD, and by extension the VFD Twin, are not particularly enjoyable gearboxes to work on. When you assemble one, it's like building a clock. There's a real Tamiya vibe to how many gears go in there, and little pins and little bearings, and then it has to be put together in just such a specific order that if something in the front end of the gearbox goes wrong, you have to disassemble the entire gearbox from the back forward, and it is punishing. I will say this in full truth. We are oh geez, I don't even like to think about it. We are around 10 months removed from Proline by the Fire 2024, and at Proline by the Fire 2024, this particular gentleman right here had a headlight go out. It's still out. I said, yeah, I'll fix that. But worse. But wait, it's worse. His front hinge pin is a turnbuckle. It's a 5mm turnbuckle because it fell out at Proline by the Fire. Presumably somewhere out there among the rocks is his handmade steel pin. We'll make a new one, he says, unable to convince even himself. So Argentum is, among other things, a long, indubitable series of Canyon firsts. If not my first series of tusks, then one of the very first tusks that I used. My first experience with squid inserts, which are still in there. These are the tusks that he was originally fitted with. These were the tusks that began my love affair with J Concepts Green. As mentioned, he has been to Proline, so his tusks are in the perfect feather zone. He was a launch edition, as was mentioned, meaning that his front end geometry was, I think the technical term is kaflooey. He had a tremendous amount of axle swing because they basically shipped with a panhard that was the wrong length. So it had been corrected when he was on the C channels, and then this was the first vehicle fitted with a Zoku chassis. This is the Zoku chassis for Phoenix, which now, this many years later, 3+ years later, whenever anybody asks me, what is the best chassis to put on a Phoenix, I first ask them, is it remaining a Phoenix? Or are you trying to build something with performance as paramount, retaining a VFD or a twin? If you're trying to keep it a Phoenix, which is big, heavy body, this layout with the twin and the 2 servos and all of the things, if you are trying to do that, then the Zoku chassis for Phoenix is the best solution. It is bolt on. You need to change no links. You need to make no great modifications. It lays the servo down. The front end geometry is, if anything, better than it is in stock configuration. The portal comes on S8E 80mm, and the straight axle comes on S8E 90mm. I favor neither of those for a Phoenix build. I favor the good old-fashioned TRA 2660, the Traxxas big bore bladdered shock. Watch this. You see how nice and slow that comes down? These shocks have never been rebuilt. Once they were attached to this vehicle, that is the oil that has been in those shocks since. There is something to be said for big bores. I have converted him over to an Element spur and slipper for no other reason than because I can. He is, as you saw, fitted with a bunch of lights. Still got his rock lights. Because if you should ever find it in your ability to go to Proline by the Fire, you absolutely should. Just for the night driving part. Show up, do one night of night driving, have a grand time, then go do something else. I did all 3 days, and one day was absolutely sufficient. So I want to say, yep. So there is a little honeycomb shape at the top of the link mounts. You see the little honeycomb? Middle position. You look up in the front, most likely, yes, middle position. These are all of the included with the conversion kit 3D printed parts. He has had little to nothing in terms of parts that needed to be replaced. He dates from a time where those are indeed the real deal Holyfield Vanquish $90 portal box weights for the F10 portal. Of course, now you can get them for about 45 bucks, 40 bucks, 45 bucks. Fitted with a Fusion Pro. If you're going to build a Phoenix, and you're going to build, and when I say a Phoenix, again, I mean a Phoenix, the things that make a Phoenix. We've omitted his bed sides, but we're okay with that. If you're going to build a Phoenix, the best imaginable power plant is the Hobbywing Fusion Pro. Why? Because I've never had to touch it. Do I believe that the BTA steering is advantageous? I kind of really don't, because you have to go to a stubby kit on the VFD or twin in order to put the servo behind the axle, meaning you remove a Fusion Pro and replace it with some sort of 3530, 3532 Outrunner. Particularly if it's a Phoenix. Now, then that weight is now, your CG will go up. If you fit a BTA kit to your front axle and a stubby kit, your CG will go up. Now, if you replace the body with something else, you put a cliffhanger or something on it, some sort of tucked body or cab only, now you're just hamstringing yourself. This is sort of the answer to the question of what is the best display of versatility. What is a vehicle that you could drive on the trails for hours and hours and rock crawl with it as well? My answer is a Zoku Phoenix, because it's got that enormous underdrive, which is usable in some situations but not usable in most. But then when you drop it back into normal, it's rolling around on around 6.5%. And that 6.5% will be absolutely manageable on any trail for any period of time. And then you have the ability to shift into bigger. It's got dig, which is great. If you can have dig, take dig. And while imperfect, and as mentioned, not fun to work on, the VFD Twin is a fantastic, let's look at the entirety of the gearbox. There it is, end to end, with the motor as low as basically one can physically mount it, sitting right there. And the dig, you know what the dig does? The dig works all the time, all the livelong day. And then you have Big Dig. Thought we might have enough room to swing it around, but we do not. It is fitted with entirely too much servo at all stations. That is the 4S rated AGFRC A86 BUMW, which produced on the torque test machine over 1,000 ounces of torque. Do you need that? 100% no. Anything in the 45 to 60 kg range will be absolutely fine. This one is perhaps too fast. It probably, in the grand scheme of things, that servo probably draws more power than that motor does. And that motor, in this configuration with all the lights on and a 2200 slapped there on the side, I can get between an hour and a half and an hour and 50 minutes of mixed runtime on this. In my night sessions at Proline by the Fire, I took 3 batteries and used 2, and it went into cutoff about 200 feet from the from the camper, so I just carried it the rest of the way. But it is. Let's talk about the Zoku for a minute. The Zoku Phoenix is thought out, is well thought out. The geometry is on point. It lays the shocks down the correct amount. I think you can get away with a 90, but I think optimally for a Zoku Portal Phoenix, the best shock is the big bore. The best tire is the J-Concept's Tusk. The best wheel is probably a turbine, because the sum total of changes made to this are absolutely minimal. He was converted in a video many, many moons ago from his C-channel chassis to this chassis, and the change is really inestimable. Like, in terms of something that remains what it is, I believe in my heart of hearts that this is a Phoenix. Well, it's a Zoku Phoenix, because we have changed the geometry in the chassis, but these are the axles that came in the kit. These are even like he is not gone Thesian. We have replaced only that which needed to be replaced. In my estimation, those are still the drive shafts that came in the kit. Like, there's nothing that need be done. If you want a greater level of pure rock crawling performance, then this is not the chassis, and this is probably not the platform. Build yourself something like an FF. Build yourself something stripped down, or begin with a VRD instead. I have a VRD with a twin in it, and it's almost, it kind of rests on that precipice of too much. It definitely, in the invisible speedometer of all-rounder to pure crawler, the needle points more towards that pure crawler. And if you build yourself something like a Zoku FF, then it's way more over towards pure crawler than all-rounder. And I enjoy this because of the all-rounder aspect of it. For me, that is one of the great strengths of the Zoku Phoenix. It's fun to drive. It has a built-in plethora of excuses. If you can't make that climb, well, why would you? That's a trail truck. It's a trail truck. Look how heavy this body is. That's the CC Hand RC 4-wheel drive light bar on there. Amazingly, still in one piece. That unit is borderline frangible. You can shatter that thing pretty easily. The fenders were omitted in the rear, and there used to be a bar right here, and we cut that bar out. Because when you convert to Zoku, and I'm not saying that you should, I'm saying that you probably should, you get an amount of travel that it just right where that bar is. And what will happen is the tire will stop. If you're running a soft insert like this one, it will kind of deform, and you'll do some real crazy things in terms of maneuverability. So it was much easier just to omit the fenders. Now that I look at it now, though, I'm wondering, if I cut the flares off, I could put his OG fenders back on, and I won't, because if I had thought of it several years ago, I would have painted this body to match. I would have painted the fenders to match the body, and I didn't. The fenders that came with this body, I gave away to someone who had an RTR and didn't want to pay the, how much does Vanquish charge? Like $40 just for a set of unpainted fenders, which is crazy. I mean, I don't know what need be said. Like, if you put a set of tusks and a Zoku kit on a Phoenix and make no other changes. So you started with a Phoenix kit and you put a Zoku chassis under it and you put a Fusion Pro, which is what you should put under there, a Fusion Pro. And then you take it out and drive it, you will be pretty surprised at how good it is. Somewhere down the line, you will replace those S8Es because you will be tired of them leaking and their damping force continually changing because the oil is slowly seeping out of every hole, pore, and orifice in that shock. They just leak. They just leak. And you know what these do? They don't do that. That's still a fantastically predictable amount of damping. It's like the perfect amount. Give me a tusk. I don't have one. Give me a 475. It is that perfect amount of articulation. It is about one tire, front and rear. It is one tire of articulation, front and rear. Like I say, I don't know how many iterations Zoku went through when he designed the chassis up, but all I know is he got it right. He got it more right than a great many do, which is why it perseveres to this day with very minimal changes. Did I even change the rod ends? No. It's still the rod ends that came with it. You don't need to go to AGFRC A20 CLSs, which predate the Flash Hobby 1227. Were this guy being built today, he'd be getting fitted with Flash Hobby 1227s because they're about $10 each cheaper than the A20s, and they work just about the same. Now, let me pop this back off again for one moment here. Now, what I will say about the A20s, turn your attention to right here on that linkage, is fast. Fast. Same with the front. There is a luxury to that which cannot be overstated. An Injorta 2065 will get the job done for 16, 17 bucks. These are usually up there around 40, 45. Would I fit a Reefs 99? Absolutely not. This is basically the same servo. The A20 and the Reefs 99 are basically the same servo, but a Reefs 99 is about 60 bucks. So you pay right around 1/3 less for basically the exact same servo, and they are absolute soldiers. He's all AGFRC throughout. Would I recommend the A86 BUMW? No. No. There's no need to put a $170 servo in this. You can get a Flash Hobby 50, Flash Hobby 60, something like that, and your performance will be exactly the same. Would I change this one out? Well, no, because I run it on 3S, which means we have, think of it as a motor. Think of this as another motor, and we never get within 3/4 of redline. So this should presumably live forever. It provides more than enough torque. Can it do the thing? It's absolute overkill. But sometimes you get a build, and this is one of them. You get that build where it's so problem-free that everything just works just so that you're like, you know what? Let's throw the crazy servos in there. Let's put $200 worth of servos in there. Why not? Why not? Treat yourself. Argentum the Phoenix. My first Vanquish. Maybe my first J-Concepts Green. It's been too long. I can't remember. My first Zoku. Certainly. Definitely not my last. There's at least half a dozen Zokus in here now. There might be 7. There's an unbuilt one. So there might be 8. If you have any questions about the Vanquish Phoenix, if you have any questions about Zokus, if you have any questions about anything at all, the comments section below is where you should turn your attention. This ends another installation of breakdowns. Argentum, the Zoku Phoenix, one of the Canyon's elder statesmen, if nothing else, and boy, I really need to, I'm just going to order those all-in-one buckets off of Amazon and then have to go through the pleasure of redoing all this wiring. Wait, how easy is the glue? Yeah, we'll just redo all the wiring on it. We'll put those light buckets in. We'll call it a day. Will I forget to do it? 100%. If he is selected as the one that goes to Proline by the Fire this year, I will be fixing those lights the day before I leave. It'll be a grand time. I hope you had a grand time. I hope you tune in to whatever we have coming up next. I thank you so much for watching. I invite you one and all to do your very best to have a good one, everybody. Thank you for stopping by the Canyon. We'd love to see you again in the future. In between now and then, please one and all do your very best to have a good one, everybody. We'll see you again here from the Canyon. And he's off. Big overdrive, zooming him out of frame. He, I, and everyone else here. We'll see you next time.